Here are the horoscopes for the week of the 18th to the 24th of November 2019. This week we will be coming out of the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, so for the first few days it's very important to go deep into that so that we get the whole message. What tends to happen is if we skim or distract ourselves, then that message has to come back in different ways further down the line. So with Scorpio being the brave spiritual warrior, it's worth going in and really finding the fine detail of what this one has represented to us as we're going through a clearing time like no other at the moment. One of the advantages of a Mercury retrograde is to try and stop us thinking in a linear timeline forwards. So time works in spirals, and when Mercury goes retrograde we go back round, we dig deep, and we find out, taking a pause, observing what's actually going on and what the meaning of that is, rather than just trying to push forwards. So once we do stop and observe impartially, we start to see the bigger picture. Rising up above the willful mind, we can let go and see the direction that things are actually flowing in and why. And this gives us a greater perspective. We can act in a way that's more harmonious with the unfolding of events. So looking at life with philosophical eyes, looking at what is the message here rather than trying to get away from it, avoid it, or moan about it. There's always a reason that something's happening. This is you teaching you, and there's something to be learned. So with the forensic eyes of Scorpio and the philosophical awareness of Mercury retrograde, by Monday let's have a look at the final days since the beginning of November and before, because we have 3 phases. So October was the first phase, November's been the second, and now we're getting ready to go into the third. But for November, what's come up? What's been the message for you? What insights have you gained? Have you been able to stop long enough and elevate to observe from a higher perspective how things are unfolding and where you've been trying to control and will things forward that have been blocked or gone in the opposite direction? So that surrender and the release that is always the lesson of a Mercury retrograde should start to bring rewards in by the end of the week. By Tuesday, Mars moves into home ground Scorpio. This is usually a time of great bravery and depth and passion. And this is still true this week, but I feel that we've actually done a lot of the alchemizing, we've done a lot of the deep introspection with the Mercury retrograde. So Mars can come in and activate and cleanse the space, making room for cheerfulness and lightness, freshening up the room inside so that playfulness and new interactions on a soul level can come in. And Mars will be in Scorpio for about 8 weeks. So this, we start to see the rewards. We've cleared the space, we've lightened up, we've stopped projecting and blaming others, we've gone in, done our own work, and now a feeling of light-heartedness and hope and playfulness can actually be filled with higher level experiences. By Wednesday, Mercury turns direct at 11 degrees Scorpio for those that are following along with their chart. And on the days where Mercury turns retrograde or direct, these tend to be the most illogical in a way, because we've had to let logic and rational go. So things can happen on those days which are a bolt out of the blue or a revelation. But what we've really been learning is what is psychologically repressed inside of us has high magnetic attraction qualities and can bring drama and friction into our lives. But when we realise it was actually us all along, and we actively volunteer to go and do the inner work, then the reward of this is sovereignty, peace, a sense of being at ease with ourselves and others. As Scorpio partly rules our intimate connection with others, and this is very much connected with our connection with ourselves. Therefore, are you looking for others to validate you when you should be validating yourself? So part of this learning journey, have you been taking things too personally? One of the ways that we carry our story forwards is we personalise everything that's happened to us rather than seeking the meaning, rather than realising it was coming to us because it's in us. So taking things personally brings in the victimhood, gathers all of that dross and drags it forwards, making it snowball into future experiences. But on Thursday it's the last day of the Sun in Scorpio. The lessons that we've had have been thick and fast, but another assessment of everything that's happened and why. That's the important practice. So shaking off the story, shaking off the victimhood, allows us to get the seed of awareness, which means we can travel forward much lighter. By Friday, the sun moves into Sagittarius, and this is a day, Friday generally is a very good day for heartfelt celebration, and this is a day to celebrate everything in you that's glorious, sovereign and strong. So coming back to your strength, transcending the personal and aligning with your spiritual warrior will be a really glorious golden feeling on Friday. And this continues on Saturday as Venus meets with Jupiter. So when we open our heart and make a wish, this golden combination is generous and full of love. So these are the rewards that come flooding in for hard work done. Self-acceptance, soul-level love of ourselves and others, and a sense of freedom and power. At the same time, we have Mars and the Moon opposite Uranus, so we can tap into the strength of the soul, because on our highest level, everything's perfect. So once we've got rid of the imperfections, can you step into the general unfolding of perfection? This is nourishing for the spirit, and there are major energies that can be harnessed as Mars opposes Uranus and connects us back to that heart flame, to activate, to take our soul force energy and direct it upwards. So an incredibly powerful week coming out of the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, Mars moving into Scorpio to do the cleansing, the Sun leaving Scorpio to move into Sagittarius, activating our warrior spirit, transcending from the personal story, and then opening our heart as Venus meets with Jupiter to amplify from our highest space and start attracting on a much higher level. So if you'd like to look at where this is happening for you, I am available one-to-one. And I'm also preparing my What's in the Stars for 2020 talk, but this year I've decided to offer this as a workshop as well. So if you'd like to get 8 friends together, then I'll be able to come round to your space in London. And by making this a workshop, we'll be looking at powerful manifesting intention setting. So taking the general energies of 2020, but what are your wishes, what are your goals, how can we elevate those, and how can we have a look at your dates of power and your ability to harness the energies of the year. So please do contact me for that, zoehine7@gmail.com. I'll be available from the winter solstice onwards, with the exception of Christmas Day and Boxing Day, as this is a wonderful new start to the year and we can get some vision and perspective as to who we are, what we want to attract, and what the energies will be for us in the year ahead. If you'd like to connect with me on social media, my Facebook is @AstroZo, Instagram @ZoeHine7, and my YouTube channel for these videos and more is @ZoeAstro. So go deep as we transition through the last phases of the Mercury retrograde to come out with warrior spirit as the Sun enters Sagittarius and begin to have a look at what we can attract from our most powerful sovereign space for the year ahead. So those are the horoscopes for this week, and I'll see you next week.